Hi guys, welcome back to the Mission Empowered podcast with me, your host Emily. And okay, so as you can see by the title, this is going to be a bit of a brain fart, a bit of a ramble. It's a completely off the cuff episode, but it's definitely something I need to do. If you haven't seen or you don't follow me on Instagram, I did a post the other day, which was again a brain fart of me just rambling to the camera, and I had to. And anyway, it's landed exactly how I wanted it to land, and it's all to do with us about us feeling like we are doing enough when we are giving our 100% ourselves. And just before we get into that, I just do want to be totally honest with the podcast, and we're going to get back into longer podcasts because I'm aware like last week's was pretty short, this one's pretty short, and I'll be dead honest, it's because I have felt a little bit misaligned. Like loads of my previous episodes, although there is definitely some in there about mindset and stuff like that, but loads of my previous podcasts have been really directed at fat loss and hacks around fat loss and how to lose weight and everything. And as much as I do feel like that is still it's a necessity to hear that we are in an obesity epidemic, we know that, I just have felt the past few months misaligned with that, or like that is just a very small part of my coaching personality now. Whether it's to do with me becoming a mum in the last 8 months and the change that my life's gone, I don't know, but I do feel like that is a smaller part of like what my ability to be a coach now. And I felt quite misaligned with, not even misaligned, but like I just don't feel like I'm super passionate as much as I once was. And so I've struggled to then do podcasts on it and do content on it because I want to talk about the bigger picture, which is basically our overall health. And yes, looking after our weight and making sure, we are, if we are overweight and we are unhealthy, that we are doing something about it. But at the same time, that isn't just fat loss. It is to do with, are we weight training? Are we doing our healthy habits, our walks outside, drinking our water, eating a whole food diet, looking after our mental health, looking after our social life, like connecting with people, having conversation. Like it's just massive. And that is what I felt like. I didn't know that that's what I wanted to do, but I have felt very like at a crossroads the past few months because I've just felt like I've come away from what I was coaching pre-baby to now what I'm coaching post-baby. And it's mad because it's obviously nothing to do with, well, it's not nothing to do, but it's not like I've had a baby and I'm like, right, I really want to knuckle down on just working with mums and exercising when you're pregnant. So it's not that. I've just felt like when you become a mum, the picture expands and it becomes about looking after yourself. And that's why, yeah. So anyway, I don't know what that's going to look like going into the future. I've just had a bit of an epiphany on that's where I'm aligned to coaching now. This is what I want to do. I want to talk about the bigger picture. And so it's not that my coaching is changing. My coaching is expanding, is that I am still going to talk about the fat loss side of things, but it isn't just going to be the fat loss side of things, the physique transformations. It's bigger than that now. My world is bigger than that. My knowledge is bigger than that. And I want to impact bigger now. So yeah, just want to get that off my chest. And that also ties in nicely to what I'm going to talk about today, which is just being accepting that if you are giving enough and doing your best, like your utmost best, you're not, giving yourself crappy excuses. It's not then letting yourself be conformed to what social media is saying is enough. And this is coming from a place of like personal experience. So I had a baby back in October. I had Eliza back in October last year. I then went through like my own fat loss phase, because obviously, you do put on fat when you're pregnant. Your body's meant to put on fat when you're pregnant. And, I wanted to get that fat off, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's absolutely fine. And I had a really successful fat loss phase. I feel really good in my body. But then what I was finding is that I was going onto social media and I was like finding myself slipping into, you should have done better, Em. You should have done better. You should have done more. Like, or, okay, that's done. What's the next thing that's going to make us feel better? Rather than just being like, listening to my own heart and being like, you did really well on that, Em. Like, you're now back to where the goal that you set, you achieved. And rather than congratulate myself and being at peace with that, I was finding myself looking at social media being like, yeah, but she looks better, or she's done better. And it just, I don't know, it was like the straw that broke the camel's back. And I just feel like that is what social media does for us. It makes us feel like we're not good enough in every aspect. And this can be, again, a work thing, a career thing. Let's say you had a goal in your career that you wanted to achieve, you achieve it, but then you go on social media and someone else has done better than you, or someone else has got a bigger, better career than you, or someone else has got a bigger, better business than you. And again, relatable to me. You can feel like, oh, the goal that I achieved, I thought was good enough. Social media is not telling me it's good enough. I feel not good enough. Okay. It's just bollocks. And we just need to, the reason I'm doing this podcast is the exact reason I did a 20-second reel. This is it just expanded, is I'm going to work on to give the advice to make us feel like we're good enough. And I'm just not there yet because this is all very new. Like I said, I've had a bit of an epiphany over the past few days. But this episode is just to make you feel seen and heard, and that you're not alone, and that you are doing enough. Like, if you are looking after your diet, purposefully eating a good, healthy diet, if you are purposefully carrying around your water bottle and drinking your water, great. If you are getting up and doing your morning walks, maybe it's not every day because you can't do every day, but you're doing what you can. Maybe you're meeting a friend 3 times a week and going for that walk. Okay, it's not 7 days, but it's 3 times a week, and that's what your max is at the moment. That's enough. That's good enough. That's fucking great for you. Okay, you are enough because you are in your own lane in your own life. And just don't get sucked into that it's not enough. And I'm going to be the first one to put my hands up and say I am guilty of, in the past, being like, it's not, like, literally probably making, not intentionally, but probably making people feel like what they're doing is not enough or is not good enough. Now, the only thing that does is push people into a corner where they think, I can't do the standard of what's enough, therefore I'm not going to do anything. And that's not helpful. Now, just saying that out loud, okay, maybe I'm not as bad as what I'm digging myself out to be. Like, I am very, don't live in that all or nothing mindset, but I don't even think that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that there is an underlying sense of, when you go on social media or when you speak to people, there is this underlying standard of what we should be doing and what's classed as enough. But now I am a mum and a working mum. I know that for me, every week that's different. Every week my enough is changing. And if I base myself on like a level of, okay, unless I achieve that, I'm not good enough, I'm screwed. We're all screwed because it has to be tangible. It is changeable. And I'm not talking about dropping your standards. You can still have a high standard for yourself. And like I said, everything I've coached on in the past, such as weight training, eating good foods, having good habits, that's still there. But the way we approach it and the mindset that we approach these things too, we need to have a little bit of leeway on it, because not in a sense of I really don't want this to be confused with the body positivity movement, where people are saying it's okay to, it's fine to be morbidly obese and you just be happy now. Well, it's not fine because it's unhealthy and you should want to change it if it's affecting your health. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying you should listen to your body and go and get a chippy every Friday because that's what your body's saying. Like, I'm not saying, that's not the road that I'm going down. I want to be really clear about that. But it is also listening to your body and being like, I'm fucking exhausted. Like, I've been up since, I've had a really rough night's sleep with, the baby and or your kids, or your kids are having a bit of a stressful time in school and it's taking its toll on you supporting them, and then you feeling like because you missed the gym that night because you need to be at home with your kids, that's an excuse, and that's not okay. That's okay. We need to be a bit softer on ourselves, I think, as women, as working women, to hold the standard of what we know we can hold it to and be consistent with that, rather than just keep drilling ourselves down into the ground and trying to do everything, because in our heads we feel like unless we do everything, it's not good enough. That is what we need to come away from, and that is what I want to start working on, is you know, my empowered coaching ethos is still exactly the same. Like, I want to empower women, but now I want to do it from a bigger picture point of view, and like just hit home that we are, if we know that we reflect on our week and we say, everything that I've done this week, it might not be the standard that I did last week, but it was my all. It's then about going, and that was enough, and that's okay. That's what we're not good at, and that's what we need to be better at, and that's what we need to be kinder to ourselves at. Because again, and I've said this before, and people say it doesn't make it any easier, I'm not sure, but when people say, you know, social media is not real, yeah, that's quite easy to say, and it's quite easy to hear until you then go on social media and you feel like, hang on, it's fucking very real. Like, it's making me feel a certain way. It's very real. And, you know, but what we do have to step back and look at and think, actually, the majority of people that probably feel the way that I'm speaking about now is way more than the people that we see on social media, if this makes sense. Like, the things that we see on social media are like a minute percentage of reality. But where are the people like me, what I'm saying now, saying that on social media? Is this making sense? This is why it's called a brain fart, this episode. I've already decided, I knew it was going to be a brain fart. But that's what I want to be the change in, is that I don't feel like there is enough reality on social media. And if you followed me for a while, you will know I'm quite a real person. I put like the highs and lows, I put the nice pictures on, I put the ugly pictures on, I put the brain farts on there. I try and do it all, but I feel like there needs to be more now. And again, maybe it's just me coming into a different aspect of my life and being a mum and being a working mum. I feel like, okay, it needs to be bigger, it needs to be layered, it needs to be heard louder. But yeah, so again, like I said, short episode. I might just go off on another tangent in a minute, but yeah, I just really wanted to do a pod that people who listen to my podcast can relate to and go, oh, this is, you know, a different side of things. It might not be 5 hacks, it might not be 10 reasons why, it might not be a fat loss blueprint, but as much as, all, like I said, they are important, I think now it's becoming more important to know that when we are trying our best, we really have to lean into ourselves and know that that is our best. And from a physique point of view, we'll just go down that road. That best is going to look different on everyone. And as I said before, my physique is different. My fat loss phase look different to any that I've just completed, looks different to any fat loss phase I've done prior. And that's because my circumstances have changed. That's because my life's changed. The time that I've got available has changed. What I want to do with my life has changed. You know, I have definitely gone down more of a whole food diet because we have been weaning the baby and we've been doing family meals. So meals that I used to have where I'd probably use like a lot of fat-free products, maybe a bit more processed, we haven't been having them because we've been weaning Eliza on what I wanted to wean her on, so we've been eating that. And I'm talking here like my physique's massively changed. It hasn't. I'm still really, really happy with it. But what I'm trying to get home is, on reflection, I probably could have got leaner, lost more body fat, but because of my life circumstances, I haven't. But I'm okay with that because I have chose them actions. Like, them actions have actually been healthier actions. And so my body might not be as lean as it was, but I feel like it's healthier and it's fine for me and my standard. I'm literally talking here like I'm not in good shape. I'm in good shape. I know I am. But it just really did make me want to open up this conversation and this thought process that wherever you're at, if you are doing your best, rather than keep trying to go up like an uphill battle with yourself, knowing that you can't do more, not that yeah, like it's being at peace with where you are, and you can want to change and you can want to do better, but that's probably going to look like your timeline has to change, or maybe you have got an extreme goal that isn't doable right now because of your life circumstances right now. And I just want to circle back to this there is a very fine line here between me giving you a green passive, don't bother trying to achieve your goals, which I'm not trying to do. But I want this to be for the women that are, you know, maybe you are in good shape, but you're striving to be better. But that striving to be better isn't leading you to be better, it's leading you to be burnt out. And this is, again, is an epiphany thought that I had the other day, is this constant push we're putting on ourselves, be better, do more. It's actually having the adverse effect. It's not making us be better. It's not making us gain more. It's making us feel worse. It's making us feel more burnt out than when we started, because we're being shown this unachievable standard. That's where we're at. Sorry, it hasn't frozen. I just sometimes like to let my brain do its thing. Is that we're setting this unachievable standard for like this one box that everyone has to fit in, and that is not the reality. There are going to be people that we know in our lives that seem like they are doing it all and they've got it all together, but actually what they've got is maybe just a better circumstance. I don't know, maybe they've got better time, like work times, maybe they have more help with childcare, maybe they live closer to a gym, you don't know, but circumstances might be different for them. And again, it's understanding that happens in life and will always happen. People will have an easier job that they get paid more money for. That's a sod's law in life. People will be born with better genetics that make it easier for them to sustain a lower body fat percentage or to look a certain way than you. That is life. But what we are being shown is, what we're not being reminded of is that point of circumstances do matter. They do. And we have to look at what circumstances are you in? What does giving your all look like for you, not for anybody else, for you? So, for example, getting to the gym 5 times a week, yeah, optimal. But if you sit and look down at your diary and you are like killing yourself because you are like, I cannot physically get there due to childcare, due to work, like, it's not about not getting up earlier. Like, if you can get up earlier, get up earlier. But I mean, like, if it's killing you off and you're constantly striving for 5 but you're only ever hitting 3, and every single week you're feeling demotivated by that because social media or someone else is telling you that's not good enough, that is a thought process that we need to change. Is actually then 3 times a week you're getting to the gym, that is good enough. Full transparency, my circumstances have changed. I am now not training as much as I was in the early postpartum days due to my circumstances. And this is probably where this is stemming from, is that I've never been in that situation before, but now I'm in it. I'm like, hang on, why is no one talking about this? What the fuck? Why are we all just like getting on with it like it's the norm? And it's not. So now my training looks different and is less. But rather than being like, oh, what's the point or whatever, I'm now like, okay, cool. So this is what we're doing in this area. What are we doing in all the other areas to make sure that everything is sort of like supporting itself and I'm still doing my best with what I can do? That's what it comes down to. So I am now, I have got friends that don't have kids that are going to be training more than me, that will get better at things than me, because I don't have that time at the moment. And it's being okay with that and still really, really saying to myself, but what I'm doing is my best and what I'm doing is enough. Therefore, I am enough and I am content with that and I am at peace with that. And so my body physically is not going to look the same as it did when I was training 5-6 times a week. And that's okay, because I'm still looking after it and I'm still doing my best. Like that for me, that message and that feeling, cliche, is empowering. And I do feel like a lot of women struggle to feel that I am enough and what my body looks like is enough and what I'm doing is enough, rather than this constant battle of, I need to be skinnier, I need to diet harder. Like, that for me is so like bottom of the list of importance when it comes to looking after our well-being. Like, if you this is in my head how I see this picture now, was that like fat loss is like in the center of the page, but if you're holding the page right up close to your eyes and that is all you can see and that's all you focus on, it's boring. It's it's boring, it's hard, it's tiring. And like, no wonder people give up, because if that is the only thing that we are ever focusing on, like, it is tedious. But what I want you to imagine now is pulling that piece of paper away from your face. So we're not just staring at the center where it's fat loss. We're now pulling back and we're looking at that big piece of paper, which has on it strength training to get stronger, morning walks for mental health, a whole food diet to support our stress, our gut health, our hormonal health, a social life. When I talk about social life, I don't mean like going out getting pissed. I mean like meeting up with friends, having conversations, expanding like our brain capacity that isn't just work home, having a fruitful social life, doing things like this big picture. This is our well-being. And if we focus on this and we do all of these other things, guess what a byproduct of that is going to be? Your fat loss is going to occur if that is the mission that you are still on. But if you are still walking around with that piece of paper close to your head, like you're probably never going to achieve that fat loss that you want because the picture is bigger than that. Okay. And doing the other areas is what makes us feel like we are enough. If we are just focused on a singular fat loss goal only, we're never really going to feel like we are enough because we're probably chasing something that actually, when we look at like our life and what's going on in your life, there might be things happening that aren't making that goal achievable. Again, brain fart. Don't know if that made sense or not, but hopefully it did. So yeah, I'm going to summarize. I feel like I don't need to waffle on anymore. This little brain fart podcast episode is just to remind you that you probably are doing enough and that you need to give yourself a little bit of grace and pull away from the comparison of that very small percentage of people that are, like I said, more blessed with time, more blessed with genetics, more blessed with a support network, whatever it is. And don't be hyper focusing on that's your standard, because it's not. You know your standard. You know your standard. You deep down will look and you will know whether you're trying your best or you're giving yourself excuses. And that, like I said, this isn't about giving ourselves excuses, but it's about knowing how much energy you have to give and where you give it, and then being okay and being content with the results that you get from that. If the results that you get, or if the physique that you have isn't what you want it to be, then you have two options. You have option one, which is going, well, I either need to change my expectations of what I want to get out of my physique, or I need to change what's going on in my life to support that goal even more. Now, I'm here to remind you that sometimes option B, which is changing things in life, isn't going to be a possibility. So therefore, you need to really work on really hard on your mindset to just shift it to be like, well, maybe the goal I'm wanting to achieve isn't achievable right now. This sounds a little bit off for me to say because I've spent so many years like drilling in, like from a different perspective of like achieving goals and anything we want is achievable. And I still absolutely believe that. I just think there's a different way to come at it. And that's what I'm trying to do now. So yeah, I'm going to post this episode. I don't know whether this makes sense or whether this doesn't make sense, but I did need to get it off my chest because it is something that I spoke about on Instagram, but it could only fit 20 seconds into a reel. And I want to just expand on it to just, like I said, there's not really a massive amount of advice in this episode. It's more just I hope, like a relatability episode, that you are enough and that, if you are doing the things, like I've said, that looking after your diet, you're proactively drinking less alcohol, you're doing your walks, you are doing your strength training. Like if you're ticking them boxes, then just giving yourself a little bit of a grace that you are doing enough, and that's great, and not to get hyper focused on feeling like you should always be doing more and always be constantly, if you're content where you are but you're wanting to do better because you feel like you should be doing better, like, yeah, I just feel like we're missing contentment, which is a huge part of well-being. And we're having this external pressure to always be better, which is just leading us to feel burnout. There we go. There's a summary for you. I would appreciate if anyone listens to this right till the end, let me know what you think. If it was an absolute brain fart and she'd be like, that totally didn't make sense, maybe I'll take time and just process my thoughts before I hit the record button next time. But if it does land, please do let me know. And yeah, like I said, this is just a new part of me that is opening and that I want to talk more about and that I want to support more women on. And I hope you will be there along the journey too. All right, guys, thank you for listening as always, and I will speak to you soon. Love you. Bye.